12:33 at your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Time for today's community comment. We head over to the Daily Dodge TV studio at 100 Bill McCullum Way in the Slumberland Furniture Studios. And joining us for community comment is Kevin Haugen.
This afternoon, joining us here on Community Comment today, Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. Sheriff, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. And we were promised a very appropriate intro song today for the sheriff's appearance on Community Comment. What do you think? What do you?
I think that was appropriate. I was looking at the ones that are coming up here. My Hero by Foo Fighters. I thought maybe that would also be appropriate. But
well, maybe next month.
Maybe next month. All right. I see it's coming. So
well, a very fitting opening song here for our Community Comment with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. If you have a question for the sheriff during our program today, you can call us at 885-4446. Again, that number is 885-4446, or you can text 887-9595. If you want to text your questions in, we'll be sure to get to those throughout our program this afternoon. But, Sheriff, we have a lot to get into today, so I want to dive right into it. I want to start off our program today talking about some not breaking news, but some recent events that had happened with you on the way into our station today. Really important community information that we want to share with our listeners, and this individual involved. We want to make sure this doesn't ever happen to anyone else. So we want to make sure we let our listeners and our viewers know what not to do and what happened with yourself here on the way to the station today.
Yeah, it was suspicious and scary all at the same time.
Okay.
So I'm leaving Juneau, coming up out on W, coming up to the intersection of A, and I see this vehicle in front of me, and I kind of recognized it as seeing it before. So a regular customer, we'll call it, and I see this red pepper sticking out the sunroof of this car. Why is there a giant red pepper sticking out the top of this car? And I pull up closer and I see this vehicle, and I know what's going on here. Well, I didn't know what was going on, but there's still a red pepper, and you don't see that every day. And
no.
Diana Ogle, who runs
very familiar with Diana,
runs the Pepper Fest here on the I believe it's the 14th of September. Her and the pepper are riding around in the car, and the pepper must be getting some air. I don't know if it needs some sunshine to brighten the colors a little bit, but I pulled up next to her and I said, Diana, could you please keep your pepper inside the car? I really appreciate it. And she says, oh, it's got to be anybody. Of course, it's got to be you pulling up and see me next to me. So, Diana, I caught you with your pepper sticking out the sunroof.
Anyone else out there with peppers, be sure to keep them inside the vehicle, locked, windows up.
Keep your all hands, legs, other appendages, and peppers inside your vehicle.
Well, words to live by here with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt here on Community Comment today. All jokes aside, exciting event here with Pepperfest. It's always a fun thing to attend coming up here in Beaver Dam here in just a couple of weeks. I'm sure we'll have more information here on our station about that event here in the next few weeks with Pepperfest right around the corner.
I hear they have the apple pepper pie eating contest again.
Are you partaking?
I usually do, yes.
Okay.
I've only missed a couple of them through the years, but I'm sure I'll probably have another apple pepper pie.
What's your finish? Like, what do you are you top 5, top 3?
Usually, with the exception of a couple of years over this 10 or 11 year span, I win.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's a lot riding on this with your record, your ability at eating pies as fast as possible. So there's a lot riding on this.
Who doesn't like to eat an apple pepper pie quickly? And the key to this is not noticing there's pepper in there. Just pretend it's just apple and get the crust first and go for the rest later. And
it's a good time.
Make sure you got a water.
Yeah, that's important.
Water, yes.
That's important. Well, fun stuff here with the Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. And another event here. It's in the rearview mirror now, but we want to highlight a little bit about it. Is the Dodge County Fair wrapped up this past Sunday? Had a little bit of a couple rainy days impacted some of the final numbers, but a lot of the fair organizers say it was a fun event overall and very successful this year. But when it comes to law enforcement and your presence out there, how did things go this year with the Dodge County Fair?
It went fairly well. We didn't have a whole lot of activity from a law enforcement standpoint. We did have some people who still like to come in and try and consume when they're under the age of 21. We wrote a number of citations for underage drinking while we were out there. And we had a couple other small skirmishes that we took care of, a couple lost children. We have maintained our perfect record of making sure that children are always reunited with their family members before they leave. So that was very positive. A lot of real positive interactions just with everybody out there between myself and the public and my staff and the public. Just very positive and very safe event as it always is. We just, my daughter, we're going to have to work on not going on the Gravitron as many times because she went on it one too many times.
No.
But wasn't feeling great after that, so we're going to put a limit of 2 times in a row on the Gravitron.
At least until they know that they can hold their food, their drink a little bit better. Until
just make sure it's She's just one too many. 2 times is plenty. Don't go a third time. That's my tip for next year.
All right. Well, that's we'll be sure to have a news story about that ahead of next year's
She'll
Dodge.
really appreciate that. Yes.
We'll be sure to get some quotes and some pictures. I hope maybe she's hoping there are no pictures
no
involved.
Pictures.
Okay.
No pictures.
Well, no pictures on that story. But you mentioned recruiting or reconnecting lost kids. With families at the fair, it's something that the Dodge County Sheriff's Office does. People can get these year round, but it's always highlighted around the fair just because of kids, wandering around, getting lost. The Sheriff's Office does offer ID cards for kids, which do come in handy in these instances.
Yeah, Sergeant Erica Lemke from the Communications Division, David Zerbel from our Support Division, and several others of our staff love doing this every year. They go out and sit in front of our booth. They take information. Our printer went down, so we're getting some of these out to people yet, but we love to put these together. It's almost like a little driver's license for a kid, and it has all their picture, their name, and their height, weight, date of birth, things that we would need should a child go missing. It's great information for us to have, both at the fair or any time of year when a child goes missing. I can't find my child. I don't know where they are. Grab this ID, hand it to us, and say, this is who it is. This is who we're looking for. We have a picture. We have name. We have everything that we need to start looking, and we do it for free. We provide that to all parents as a service to the community. And you can do it at the fair. We have several other events through the year that we do it at. We typically have somebody at Downtown Fest, Fall Downtown Fest. We typically have somebody at numerous events throughout the year that we're doing this at. But you can always do it free of charge, right on our Sheriff's Office app, which is also free. Download our Sheriff's Office app right on your phone, Apple or Android. And go right to the link on there that allows you to do a child ID. Fill out the information, send us a photo, we'll print it out. Likely, if you're in the county, it might get mailed to you, but if we can have a deputy deliver it, we can certainly do that too if you request that. Kind of a neat experience for your child and continue that positive experience. So we'd love to provide that for the community. And then we also, with the parents' permission, we save that information so that if something happens, it's at our fingertips of our dispatchers, of our patrol deputies, the police officers in the county, that we can get that information out quickly to find those children.
Fantastic. A free resource that it would be not smart to not even think about getting something like that and having that available if for your family out there with kids, and important resource there for any family out there with kids. And again, that's on the Dodge County Sheriff's Office app and other events that the Sheriff's Office is at throughout the year. You can get those ID cards available with those as well. And again, if you have a question for the sheriff here on Community Comment today, 885-4446 to get into the program here this afternoon. Another topic we want to spend a moment on. It's not quite winter yet, but it's approaching. Summer's wrapping up, fall's around the corner, and right after that is winter. Yeah. And that also means the Rotary Lights display. That effort here is starting to pick up, and what's the update there?
I wanted to give especially the sponsors in the community an opportunity. We're going to be really starting to push here in the last month or so of accepting sponsorships. Yeah, we're only in August. It's September in a couple weeks though, and we need to get those orders in so that we can purchase the Christmas trees we need to put up. We've got a lot of different sponsorship opportunities. The Christmas trees, we put up the Christmas trees, we put the lights on them, and people can come out and decorate them. The week of Thanksgiving is typically when we have those ready. A sponsorship, I believe it's $275 for a tree. We give you a sign next to it so everybody knows you sponsored that tree. We've had some really, really cool things out there on the path of lights, I call it. We've got angels. John Moser's name has been next to that a number of times. So if you have somebody that you want to remember, we can do that. We usually have about 15 or so angels out there to remember people. We have soldiers. If you want to remember somebody who was in World War I, World War II, or just served, or maybe they're active duty right now, you want to have a soldier in honor of them. We've got a really cool formation. I think we had about 15 of those out there last year. And we've got some new things out there. We have this one is, we're not looking for sponsorships for this one, but Newman Pools is working to help us with decorating the splash pad. I think you're really going to like that. This is going to be pretty cool. A cool addition. I like it because I don't have to set that portion of it up. They're helping us out with that. So those sponsorship opportunities are available. But the big one we're trying to raise money for, we haven't had a whole lot of not support, but a whole lot of people participate in it this year. Last year we raised $25,000 towards it. We're looking for additional sponsors to help us fund the renovation of that spring house. That's that tall white structure out there that's in the southeast corner right by Velkers. It needs renovation really badly. And so we raised $25,000 last year. We've got a few $1,000s this year that people have the opportunity to do sponsorships for that. And then the other thing, of course, got a number of people have done this already. If you want your name, your business read by Uncle Bill on the Barn Show, $50 you get to sponsor a day of lights for $50 and have Uncle Bill read your name throughout that hour of the Barn Show.
A radio legend announcing you on the air. Can't beat that.
On the what is it? 50,000. Belching watts. Yes.
Yes. Correct.
It's a pretty cool opportunity for $50. We only have a limited number because we only got so many days there. But and how do you register to be a sponsor? You might ask. Really easy. BD for Beaver Dam, bdrotary.org is the website you go to. Click on the Rotary Lights section. You can register online, or you can print off the form, send in a check. If you register online, we still need you to send in the check or go online to do the credit card registration. And my beautiful bride, Cassandra Schmidt, I am Cassandra's husband, for everybody's information. It's not, she's my wife, I'm Cassandra's husband. But she lost her identity when I became sheriff. That's the story behind that. But she will be happy to take your checks and get them sent in. Whether it's through the mail or through the credit card information. She has been kind of dubbed as the secretary of Rotary Lights, which I really appreciate. She helps me keep that all organized. But we need to get those things in. September 15th is our deadline. So if you're looking to sponsor, please go to bdrotary.org, get those sponsorship forms filled out, sent in, so that I can get those orders in. Believe it or not, I have to order the Christmas trees in advance. It's not like I go out and cut the trees down. Annabelle helps us out getting those shipped in so that we got enough Christmas trees, and I need to know how many Christmas trees. If you come to me in the middle of October and say I want like a Christmas tree, I'm going to say no, because I can't order anymore. So we need to get those in. September 15th is our deadline. Go to the website, get registered, help us beautify that park. It is amazing once we get it all done. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I know. It's been such a cool thing to see how that park has really developed over the last couple of years come Christmas time, and just how it started off really just, I believe it started off as a Leadership Beaver Dam project that you were, a class that you were in. and it really has taken off in the years following then. And every year there's always been new additions and growth, and it's been really cool to see. So, and there has been really great support from the community in the years following that to help be able to purchase new displays, new lights, and things. So I feel like that's something that the community wants to continue to contribute, and there's plenty of opportunities to do so. You said bdrotary.org was the website that people can go to. September 15th, the deadline to be able to take part in that sponsorship program.
And if you want to help us get the word out about this, if you go to bdrotary.org, find the link, share it on your social media pages, Twitter, TikTok, whatever you want. Help us get that word out so we can bring in additional revenues. The more money we bring in, the better we make it look. Yep. The more money we can generate towards Swan Park. If you happen to be a business owner or you work for a business owner that might be able to help us out with that spring house project, our project, we need to get to, I believe, is about $180,000 to get that done. The city wants to get that done, so they're working on it as well. But we need some bigger donations, and we've got some sponsorship opportunities. We might be able to even put together a billboard to recognize your company for the right donation. So looking for some bigger sponsors to help us get there, help the city get that done. Because I tell you what, my goal is to have some permanent lights put on there, so I don't have to put a ladder on and put lights up on the top of it, because it's about safety as well. And some installed lights would look a lot better as well. So we want to keep the spring house exactly as it is, just renovate it and put some lights on it, and it's going to look beautiful once we get that project done. So bdrotary.org.
Is that the fundraising goals for the spring house renovations? Is that something that you foresee? Is that going to be happening here in the next couple of years, you feel like, in order to close that financial gap, or depending upon how funds go with raising that amount, that you could kick off that project sooner than you would think?
I think the city wants to do that as part of their bigger project with the band shell and things. So hopefully that's a process we can get done. I've been working with the city administrator to come up with to work on some of those things. The city's really going to take the project and run with it when they're able to, but we want to provide as much funding as possible, because we know the coffers for doing those things are finite, and so if we've got additional funds that we can throw towards that project to help them out, the more the better.
Yeah, and you had mentioned really it's not about tearing down the spring house, constructing something entirely different. It's about fortifying and making sure that the current building there stays there for as long as possible.
Yeah, the wood is rotting, so we need to replace a lot of the wood on there and make it look exactly the same. Not going to change it, but have it so that it can be refurbished for another 25, 30 years again and look beautiful for generations to come.
Yeah, and you mentioned back to the Rotary Lights display that comes every winter, Christmas time here at the Swan Park in Beaver Dam, that there's going to be really spearheaded by Newman Pool's display at the splash pad at Beaver Dam. I can't remember. Was that something that was done, or was this entirely new this year?
Brand new. This is our new section of the park. We typically do something new every year, and we've got several littler things that we're going to do, but Chris Newman got a hold of me, and he said, hey, I really like this. I'd like to do that. He gave me a call last December. I remember exactly where I was. He says, would you be okay if we spent some money and put some money on the splash pad? And I said, well, yeah, we got to get it approved from the city, but yeah, that would be awesome. And so he's been working with K&B Tree and Lawn Care to get that taken care of. We're working on it right now. We think we're going to make that happen, and so that'll be a section of the park. Been a little bit more dark area of the park that'll be more lit up. We're still working on that Vita Street side to continue to make it brighter and every year, but that's going to be so cool, and looking forward to it. Chris is almost as excited about Christmas decorations as I am, and I think it's going to look really, really neat. Newman Pools has been a huge supporter every year, at least $1,000 to it every single year. One of our primary supporters that we've had since the very beginning, and we really appreciate that. And now they're really stepping up, so it's really neat to see.
That's awesome. Yeah, it'll be exciting to see what that'll look like when that's all up and running here. And usually around Thanksgiving time, I believe, is when kind of the lights, and you ask for volunteers to come out. Is that kind of the plan again this year?
The first 2 weekends in November, the first 2 Saturdays in November, we start at 9:30, and we'll get out there. We put up a lot of the major displays on those 2 weekends, and then our committee, and a lot of it is me, because I've got most of it stuck up in my head, and trying to get it back out in the park isn't always easy. But we spend a lot of time out there in November getting it all set up and ready to go. and the trees typically come in. The Christmas trees typically don't come in until the second or even third weekend in November. So it's kind of a rush to get those up and decorated for everybody. And but we have it all done, ready to go. I even spend a lot of time there on Black Friday when everybody else is shopping. I'm doing finishing touches out there, and we turn them on at 5 o'clock on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Because why would you turn Christmas lights on before Thanksgiving? We got to celebrate that first.
Exactly.
And then we turn them on the next day, and then we leave those on all the way through New Year's, and maybe a day or two past the first of the year, and really cool decorations to see, and seeing all the. Sometimes I just go out there and I sit in the weeds, not so much weeds, but sit in the decorations where people can't see me, and I listen to people talk. To hear what they're saying, and I've heard some really cool stories. Even some neighbors have come up to me and said some really cool things about how that's impacted their families. I've caught candid pictures with some of the cameras we have out there of couples kissing on the Santa sleigh. So really neat things. Santa brought a puppy to a child one year when he was out there. Santa always comes out the second Saturday.
That's right.
He and I have got a good relationship, and Wade, certainly from here at the radio station, helps me out with that direct connect to read letters every year.
Popular.
So a lot of really cool things that we do.
Yeah, a question that I've always wanted to ask, and I feel like as the Rotary Lights continues to expand every year, I feel like now it's a perfect time to ask, what happens with all the display decorations? Do you send it up to the North Pole and Santa keeps it in his house and then hauls it down for to be put on display here in Beaver Dam, or where else? Where do they go during the off season there?
So Santa, because they're done with building stuff, you get about a week off. Santa sends his elves back to help me take them all down.
That's helpful.
And we've got about 8 trailers that we haul back and forth, and we've got some storage on the north side of the city that we keep them in for the year while I'm able to work on some decorations in the summertime, springtime. In my downtime, I'm able to work on
when's that? When is that for you?
Very few and far between. But a lot of work goes into it throughout the year, and we are constantly trying to make things easier to set up and take down as well. So a lot of work goes into it. They get stored there until it's time to put them back out again, and it's a never-ending cycle. You think I got downtime in the year doing this? Really don't. It's a never-ending cycle. I'm always thinking about what can I do differently.
Yeah, and we mentioned again the Newman pools for the splash pad, sponsoring a whole new display. Is there anything else that you can tease or highlight as something that will be kind of a new and exciting thing that people will see out at Swan Park this year?
I had some donations of some inflatables that I'm always a little nervous about, because in my career, I tend to find people that tend to do things they shouldn't do. So we've got some inflatables that were donated, Santa and some snowmen we're going to try and put out this year and see how that works. I've got some other things I'm considering but not certain on, so I'm not going to say anything about that. Our arches, we put up newer arches last year, and we've got some different lights on them that are a little brighter. I think they're going to be cool with some different color changing patterns that we can do. We're going to have more archway paths or more archways out there. We had 2 sets of them last year. We're going to probably have 3 or 4 of them this year with some new lights, so that'll be neat. We've got some additional angels that I bought as well. Hopefully we can sell some more sponsorships for angels to get those out there to make that a little bit bigger. A lot of it will be generally the same. That biggest change is going to be out in that splash pad with some smaller tweaks around the park.
Fantastic. Sheriff, one more time, what's all the details and information that our listeners and viewers need to know if they want to sponsor something at Rotary Park Lights?
bdrotary.org is where you can go to find the sponsorship form. You can print off the form right there. You can mail it in to my wife. The address is on there. Please make your check out to the Beaver Dam Area Community Foundation, not Rotary. A lot more work if you make it out to Rotary. The foundation helps us out with that. All the instructions are right there on that form, or you can do it right online if you'd like. There is a event that we can have you go through and fill out. You can do a credit card payment or mail in a check, either way, and just get that information back to us by September 15th. That's our deadline so that we can get things ordered. bdrotary.org is the way to go. It's the place to go to find that information.
Again, we're joined with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt here on today's Community Comment. The phone number, 885-4446 to get into the program. We have a lot more to talk about coming up. We'll hit on back-to-school safety, dash cams, canine recruitment. We have to take a quick break. More Community Comment is coming up next. 103 on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Welcome back into Community Comment. I'm joined with our guest today, Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. If you have a question for the sheriff, you can call in at 885-4446, or you can text 887-9595 to get into the program here this afternoon if you have, again, a question for the sheriff, our guest here today on Community Comment. And Sheriff, we sort of alluded to this briefly in our last segment. Again, summer is just gone by so fast, and already we're here, and kids are back to school here this week, next week already. And this is really a great time to start highlighting things to remember for parents, for drivers, and for anyone out there in the public, that there's some safety things to keep in mind as now it's back to school time.
Yeah, it's that time of year. My kids started today. Too soon for me, but they're back, and with schools comes school buses. Yeah. And so I really wanted to highlight that first and foremost here today. School buses, a lot of people think that the stop sign has something to do with the law. The stop sign in a school bus actually means very little. It's a nice little reminder that says you need to stop when that stop sign is out. It's good to follow that. But the law says that if a school bus is stopped and the red lights on the top, the flashing red lights on the top are flashing, then you must stop prior to, I believe it's 20 feet before you get to that school bus. And from the front or the rear, you have to come to a complete stop, and you must stay stopped until those lights extinguish or the bus begins moving. So that's the two things. Red lights, stopped. Those are the two things you have to be watching for. Now, they've got those yellow lights on them, the amber lights that flash now when they're coming to that stop. I'd like you to think of it from the way you're supposed to, like with a yellow light at a stoplight. The yellow light doesn't mean hit the gas and try to make it. The yellow light means if you're able to safely slow down and stop, you should do so. Same thing for school buses. If you're able to slow down and stop before that child, that driveway that they're stopping at, please do that. It's very important to keep our kids safe. They're one of our most important commodities out there. That's our children. And so please respect those school buses. Pay attention to what's going on. Take these cell phones and put them down when you're driving so you see the school bus when it's coming, and make sure you're stopping. When those school bus drivers see somebody blow through their stopped bus with the red lights on, they will get your license plate and they will report that to us. And we can write you a citation after the fact. Just because we're not there doesn't mean you might not receive a citation for it. Those school bus drivers are very protective of their kids, and they want to make sure that when they're taking the individuals to school, they're doing so safely and dropping them off. Now, something people don't really know is when a school bus is in the city, they don't have to do that. If they pull over to the curb, they turn on their four-way flashers. That's all they have to do to let people on and off. A lot of the school buses will still operate those red lights and utilize stop with the red lights, but they only have to pull over to the side if they're just letting somebody off at the curb. That's typically what they'll do when they're at the school and things like that. Then you don't have to stop for them. The other time you don't have to stop is if there's a divided highway. So you've got a median barrier in the middle. And we don't have much of that, but for example, you're out on 151 and a school bus stops on the northbound side. You don't have to stop on the southbound side. That's the only time that you don't have to stop. Even as law enforcement officers, if there's a school bus stopped with red lights, we're asking permission with our lights and siren to go around them before we go around. We're not just blowing past them. We're going to be very, very careful because we don't want to run over anybody or hit anybody that's trying to get on or off of that school bus. So number one priority with schools is be careful around those school bus drivers. Those school bus drivers do a fantastic job. Make their job easier, not more difficult, and don't make them have to get their license plate and let us know about it. So
go ahead.
The next thing that we really wanted to hit on is speed limits. Of course, we have speed limits, but now school started. If there's a child present in a school zone, that speed limit is likely reduced. So watch for that sign that says speed limit 15. If it's 15, most of the places it's 15 when children are present. That means if somebody's on that sidewalk, if somebody can come out there into that street, if there's a child present, they don't even have to be walking to school. If there's a child present in that zone, 15 is your max speed in most of those areas. So make sure that you're paying attention to that and driving safely in those areas, because we do, law enforcement do sit in those areas, and we will write citations for somebody going 25 and a 15.
Again, the phone number for community comment today, 885-4446. We'll dive, maybe our caller, we do have a caller on the line. Maybe they're going to call about or ask about school safety, but we'll dive more into that topic here in just a moment. But first, I want to head to the phones and say welcome to community comment.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I am doing well, Tyler. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good on this nice day.
That's good to hear.
How are you, Officer Schmidt?
Real good, Tyler. What can we do for you this month?
This actually has to deal with safety. I don't know how well you know Watertown at all, because where our middle school is, it's like where Highway 19/416 is.
Yep.
Yeah, right by there, Upper Dam. When
Right.
I was younger, getting across that street was hard to do. It was so hard to do. Because I would be in the crosswalk and the car would come. They wouldn't even slow down. I would have to quickly run across just to get across.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have to do that. They should be slowed. Do you know when they made it state law, or has it always been a state law where cars have to yield to pedestrians?
Cars have always had to do that. They have to yield to pedestrians while in the crosswalk. They have to be in a crosswalk. If you're just mid-block, you don't have that right of way. But if you are in a crosswalk at the intersections, then yes, they do have to yield to pedestrians. You have to keep in mind that you can't dart out in front of traffic. So if a car has no way to reasonably stop, then you don't have that right of way. If they're at an intersection where there is a walk sign, you need to wait for the walk sign and don't walk when it says don't walk. Otherwise, if you are crossing, you do have the right of way when crossing over, and you got to still be careful because a lot of people still will not honor that, so be paying attention. And if somebody is coming, then get out of that crosswalk as quickly as you can.
Yeah, because like I said, I've had to run right across just to get across Main Street. Because now they didn't have it when I was in school, but now you see all these signs that says state law, yield to pedestrian.
Yeah, those were added to just bring more heightened awareness to that issue. Make sure people know that when somebody's in the crosswalk, they have the right of way.
Do you know how much of a ticket that is if you pull someone over and they don't yield to pedestrian?
Well, it does vary by where you're at. In the county, I believe it's right around a $200 citation. In municipalities, their ordinances might vary. It might be a little bit lower than what the state citation is. I don't remember what is exactly for the state citation, which is what we write at the county, but that can vary.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your service.
My pleasure.
Well, thank you, Tyler, for the phone call. Again, the number 885-4446. Let's head back to the phones and welcome caller 2 onto Community Comment.
Hello.
Hello, you're on the air.
My question for Dale. I was wondering, everybody's got these myths about all these side-by-sides and ATVs and stuff that are driving up and down the roads. Are the drunk driving laws the same for them on our roads as they are regular vehicle?
So you got me here. I always get slightly. I always have to go back and refresh my memory on if they're considered a motor vehicle when they're on the highway. It is there whether you're arrested for operating a motor vehicle while impaired or operating a ATV, UTV while impaired. There is a statute for both of them. I'd have to go back and look to see if it's actually the traffic violation. But regardless, there is a statute for both of them. It just has different penalties.
Well, because I know, like, snowmobiles on snowmobile trails is a ticket that don't affect your driver's license.
Correct.
But you're on a snowmobile trail.
Correct.
Out in the middle of nowhere. But when you're driving on these township roads and city roads, and I've got people saying, well, it doesn't affect your driver's license, but I find that hard to believe because my understanding is you could be driving your lawnmower down the road and get a drunk driving ticket.
Correct. And each of them is classified as a little bit differently. I've been trying to get this rectified at the state legislature. We haven't been able to do that. You can actually get a first offense OWI. I believe it's 6 or 7 different ways in the state of Wisconsin. If you were riding an ATV or a UTV on a trail, it is not a motor vehicle. A snowmobile is never a motor vehicle on the highway. And I don't recall, I have to go back and look at the definitions to see if it's classified as a motor vehicle or not when you're driving on the highway. That's the one that I got to do a little bit more research on again, because it's what's classified as a motor vehicle under the definition in the statutes. And if it's a motor vehicle, then yes, it applies to your driver's license. But most of the time with those recreational vehicles, it's not.
No, that's kind of funny because some of them got a way more power than some vehicles do nowadays to drive down the road. And
Yeah.
it's,
I believe we're going to have another break here at some point. I'll take a look at the break and see if I can't come up with that information for you and let you know what we're going to have so stay tuned to the rest of the show. We'll see if we can't get that by the end of the show for you and let you know if it's a motor vehicle, if it's on the highway.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you again for the phone call. Again, the number 885-4446, or you can text 887-9595 to get into the program this afternoon. And maybe not entirely on the same topic, but still something important when involves driving and being on the road. One thing that I feel like is being recommended more and more nowadays from law enforcement is setting up dash cams on vehicles, because it is something that a lot of times you are in an incident and you are rear-ended or going to hit something, and it's a lot of times somebody's word against somebody else's word, and having video footage and proof of that is extremely helpful. And I know that it's a message that more is being more pushed today than it has been in years past, to get dash cams set up on your vehicle.
Yeah, we have dash cams on all of our squad cars, and great for us to gather evidence. But it's becoming more and more common for the public to put them in. School buses, a lot of them are starting to put them in because it's great to gather evidence, to give that information to law enforcement when something happens. We've had several crashes that have happened where people in the public have had a dash cam. And we are always able to usually put together a crash pretty close to what happened based on the evidence at the scene, the yaw marks, the skid marks, where the vehicle is, and we're usually able to download things from the vehicles. But it makes it a lot easier when we actually have a dash cam from the incident that shows us this is what happened. We still do our work and do all that additional investigation, but it makes it a lot easier to see what happened. I remember we had a school bus crash that happened on Highway 60 and M a couple of years ago that showed us what happened, how that crash occurred. And so they're so helpful. I encourage the public to go out there. They're not that expensive. A couple $100, you can get a good quality dash cam right on Amazon. I'm sure you can get them at the other stores as well, and they're not hard to install, and they're very helpful. They'll record what's going on. I look at it as another insurance policy for you. Think about it. Your rates are going to go up if you don't have any evidence that you caused the crash. A lot of these more minor crashes, we don't do real in-depth investigation into them. We take statements to find out what happened, and then the insurance company kind of figures it out. But if you have a video of what happened, when it happened, not only will it help us in, okay, this person's getting a citation, but you can give it to your insurance company, and your insurance company can use it to say, I wasn't at fault in this crash. Some really positive things there. Traffic complaints. Maybe you see an impaired driver, and you want to give us evidence that this person was all over the road. That would be fantastic for you to turn that over to us if you see somebody that's impaired driving down the road. Maybe they cause a crash. So many other things. You're sitting at an intersection and somebody just pulls out and runs into you. You've got front cameras, they got rear cameras you can put in. Just another opportunity for you if you'd like to put in your vehicle, and a great opportunity for us to have additional evidence and making sure that we absolutely get it right when we do the investigation of the crime. So I encourage you to take a look at it, and if it's right for you, by all means, put one into your car.
We are joined again here today with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt on Community Comment. The phone number for the program, 885-4446, or you can text 887-9595. And before we dive in quickly into our next topic, just want to call attention to our topic. We just spent a moment talking about school safety and keeping kids safe as they head into school. And I know just recently the Sheriff's Office, I believe either today or yesterday, put out a social media post. Because a popular thing for parents to do when kids go back into school is put on a little card to put, what grade a kid's going into, the school they're going to, a lot of potentially identifying information. And the message from law enforcement essentially is maybe not share some of those things on social media. Instead, maybe put their favorite movie, or what do you want to be when you grow up, or who's your favorite, your mother or your father, some little things that are not as important as identifying information as again your school or certain things like that. So again, important thing for the public to remember, just to keep their kids safe here as back to school is right around the corner.
Yeah, a lot of different safety things that we do to really get ready for getting back into school. We just yesterday had a post that we were helping out the Neosho Honor School District with preparing for what could happen if there's a critical incident in a school, and we let the community know we're doing that just in case they wonder why there's squad cars at the school. Lots of things to do to get ready for school, both in an emergency situation like you're talking about for us when we're at the schools, protect potential active assailants at a school, people that might go into a school with a gun. How do you deal with those types of situations? And being prepared is very, very important. We help the schools to do those types of things. Sergeant Brad Conkle and our Deputy Emergency Management Director, Amanda Pulvermacher, both have been working hard, going to various schools, helping them out with various types of school planning and preparation, making sure they know what to do in an emergency. We're getting more and more requests for that. We're putting together some videos right now, some school safety videos to play for teachers so that they have it, because we do it once at the beginning of the year. Maybe they hire somebody mid-year, or the next year maybe they don't get a visit from us. So we're putting together videos to help prepare, and being prepared is one of the biggest portions of mitigation of a incident. You can take it back to your own home. Being prepared for, firefighters are always talking about fire safety in your home. But what about what happens if somebody comes to your front door and you're not home but your child is? Do they know what they should be doing? Do they know their phone numbers or addresses? And so many things that we can always be thinking about. What can we do to prepare our children so that they can always be safe? Sometimes we don't forget about those or remember about those things and what we should be doing and what they need to be prepared for, because we're thinking about the next soccer game or the next basketball game we got to take them to. And well, when you're going to that next game, have you talked to your child about what they should do? Should they go missing or somebody come up to them that shouldn't be? And those are things that we as parents need to make sure that we're doing. Law enforcement is always working to try and remind you of those things, because it's not at the forefront of your mind, nor should it really need to be. It needs to be, but for us in law enforcement, it is always at the forefront of our mind. So we want to remind you that you should be taking those steps to protect your child as well.
It's political season here throughout the country. The DNC happening in Chicago as we speak. A lot of the presidential candidates have been coming up to Wisconsin. It's a very important state when it comes to what will happen here this fall. J.D. Vance was the vice presidential on the Republican ticket nominee, was in the state yesterday, held a press conference in Kenosha about safety and public safety, law enforcement, and all those important details. And if you happen to hear our newscast this afternoon, we had a story about that press conference. In that story, J.D. Vance had mentioned that there had been cartel arrests as far up as Kenosha and as far up as where we are here in Dodge County. Sheriff, you mentioned to me before we came on air this morning an interesting note that those talking points were provided by you to J.D. Vance, and he's now using those on the campaign trail, which is a very interesting note.
Yeah. So Friday morning, we had a roundtable in the city of Milwaukee at the Milwaukee Police Association headquarters, and he came and talked with me and several other law enforcement professionals from the Milwaukee area, and he was looking for some information because he just wants to know what we're seeing on the ground. We talked about fentanyl coming across the border from Mexico nonstop, and I explained to him we can't build walls around our county and around our state. We need the flow to stop at the border, in the southern border, and we can't do our jobs effectively with this nonstop flow. And I expressed to him that we've had cartel members right here in Dodge County. We made an arrest a couple of years ago, right in the city of Juneau, of a cartel member who was pushing their drugs right out of Juneau. We've got other investigations right now where we have cartel members who are operating within Dodge County. And I shared that with him. And I told him that is a problem. And every county in this country has cartel members in it. There are that many of them. They're everywhere. And I shared that with him, and I don't think he recognized how vast the problem was. You'd hear a lot on the news about individuals who have been victims of homicide or sexual assault, horrible crimes that are occurring from these individuals that have crossed the border. But the bigger killer is this fentanyl coming across the border, and we need to do something about that. Now, I know there was conversation out there about a bipartisan effort to do that, which after reading the bill, that was a load of garbage. There was one portion of the bill that has a positive. The rest of it would have been nothing but negative, and it would not have helped our community at all. I was very much opposed to that bill, as was the National Sheriff's Association, and we haven't seen progress at that border. We have not seen that flow shut off. And there's ways for them to do that, and it's just not happening. And for the last 3.5 years, we've had nothing but a solid flow because the policies have changed. Bottom line, you take all the politics out of it, the policies changed, enabling more and more people to come across unvetted with a lot of this fentanyl that's killing our people in our community. And I shared that with him and told him that regardless of how these elections go, we have to have a change. Our law enforcement don't have the capacity to stop what's going on. And he's sharing that information across the country now, and I'm very appreciative of that.
On the topic of elections, another important note that we want to share with our listeners here in Dodge County as the November election is right around the corner is that there will not be drop boxes here in the county for voters to utilize.
That's correct. I've had conversations with the clerks, and this isn't a decision that I made. It's a decision that every clerk and their board makes within their municipalities. And from what I've been told, not one clerk within Dodge County is going to be using drop boxes. I did have some conversations with a few clerks who were questioning it and talking about it, and my questions were, how do we make sure we comply with the recent Supreme Court decision that came out? Yes, they allow them, but there's certain restrictions that are still in place. You have to make sure that that person who is dropping it off is the person that is on that ballot. That person can't drop off for their family members, can't drop off for their friends, can't drop for anybody else but themselves, except somebody who can't get out of the house. That's the only exception the Supreme Court made. How do you, as a clerk, is what I asked, make sure that that happened? Do you have adequate cameras to make sure that you can cover that, to make sure nobody's tampering, that they're actually the only person putting something in there? Do you have adequate record retention of that video so that you can go back and review it? Because if there are complaints, I'm going to have to investigate that. I'm going to be looking at that. And a number of other concerns that I raised, and every clerk in the county says, that's not something we want to do, so they have made that decision that there are no drop boxes. I know some people don't necessarily like that or agree with that, but even if no fraud is occurring, you think about this in the context of really anything where the potential for fraud could happen. When you have the potential for fraud and somebody exploits that potential, or there's a perception of fraud, it degrades the entire system. And now we have people who are going to question, is the integrity of our election system in Dodge County a quality system or is it not? Just simply because of perception, because perception a lot of times is everything to our community. So I'm very pleased that we're not having these because there will be no fraud regarding drop boxes. There will be no perception of fraud regarding drop boxes. And my goal is to make sure everybody has the opportunity to vote and vote one time only. But everybody has to have that opportunity. We have ample time to do that. You can mail in your ballots. You can drop off your ballots in advance. And they start within the next 30 days. And we're 75 days out from the election. You have the opportunity to go to the poll and vote that day. There's plenty of opportunity for people to vote and do so in a way that maintains integrity with that voting system. I'm proud of our clerks for making the decisions that they made. It's going to make Dodge County's voting system solid as it has been for so many years. I'm so proud of the work that Karen Gibson did as the clerk for so many years. Yep. Danielle Van Egtern, who is now our clerk, is going to continue that. I've had positive conversations with her about that. I'm very proud of the work that our clerk's office has done and the local municipal clerks. They do a fantastic job, very difficult job. A lot of criticism can come at them, and they do a fantastic job, and we are here to support them. And I'm very thankful that we're going to continue having a very solid and a practice that maintains the integrity of our system.
About midway through our second segment here on Community Comment, we had a phone call from a listener wondering about ATVs, and I know Sheriff has been furiously Googling, trying to figure out the answers to that, and I've been trying to stall during some of these intermediate breaks between questions and answers. But do we need a break still, Sheriff, to get those answers and for the listener?
I'd like to, if we could get a quick break
Sure.
and just take some a review of that to see if I can come up with that for sure. I'm pretty sure I've got it, but I want to make sure I got it.
We do have a couple extra topics to get to, so we'll have a little bit of an extended third segment here on Community Comment. Hopefully our wizard behind the board, Jeff, can program a quick break here for us on Community Comment. Again, our guest this afternoon, Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. We do have to take another quick break. We'll be back after this. 134 on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Welcome back into Community Comment. Our guest on our program today, Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. And in our second segment, Sheriff, we had a listener call in wondering about some laws around ATVs, UTVs, driving under impaired. We were able to track down some answers for that listener.
Yeah, I looked it up. I was pretty sure I had that, but I wanted to go to my expert, Deputy Luke Luther, who's one of my recreation patrol guys, and we're all on the same page here. When you're driving an ATV and a UTV, I hate this law. Whether you are on the road or not, it is a UTV, ATV. It is not a motor vehicle under the motor vehicle law, which means it falls under the recreational statutes, and you are issued a citation for OWI on an ATV/UTV, not as a motor vehicle. So it doesn't go on your driving record, which goes back to what I was talking about before. You can get a first offense in a motor vehicle. If you wait 10 more years, you can get a second first offense in a motor vehicle. You can never get a third one. You can get one on a boat, on an ATV, UTV, on an off-highway vehicle, on a snowmobile. Each one of those has its own statute, and I've been trying with the legislature to try and get that unified together so that it wouldn't be all these different ones, because people play the game, and we know they play the game where I don't have a driver's license, so I'm going to get on the snowmobile and drive to the bar, and so we know people play those games, and we're trying to get that through the legislature, but we just haven't gotten there yet.
Is this something, again, this is, we can only speculate at this point, but is really in our area, most cities, municipalities have ordinances allowing ATV, UTVs on city streets. As this opens up more and more, is this something that you see potentially being a conversation at the state level, retweaking this law and changing some of the wording to make it a little different and harsher for people who drive under the influence? Yeah,
we've got to continue to have that conversation. I've had that conversation every legislative session for the last 3 sessions, and we just haven't been able to get that bill through. And I understand why there's people on both sides of this issue, but it is a loophole that has caused problems, and we need to tighten up that loophole. As the people in our county know, that operating under the influence of a vehicle is something that I'm very proactive about. We will not allow for it. We have a zero tolerance policy, and we're trying to save lives. I'm so tired of going to fatal crashes, and especially when something like this is the reason behind it. So that it's another problem, and I certainly understand the frustration of the caller, and I'm right there with you. We'll keep working on it.
All right. So again, Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt here on Community Comment. We just have one or two really quick topics to get to here in our third segment on Community Comment today, and that one of those is recruitment for an open canine position at the Dodge County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, I have 4 shifts in my patrol division. We have 12-hour shifts, 4 days on, 4 days off. So I have a nighttime and a day shift. So there's 4 different shifts that we have. My goal when we went to these 12-hour shifts was to have a canine available all the time unless somebody's on vacation or time off. We've never really been able to do that. Even with the 3 shifts, we had a hard time doing that. So I have a spot allocated on each one of those shifts for a canine. Well, my nighttime guys like working nights, and they like working drugs at nights. They don't want to go to days. And so I am going to have 1 day shift canine deputy position available. So we're recruiting. And I mean, that certainly could change if we get somebody decides they want to go to day shift. But right now, I've got an open vacant day shift canine spot. And so I'm looking for an experienced patrol deputy. If they've got a canine already, fantastic. If they don't, we'll supply one. We will get a 4th canine. We have 3 great, we got 2 great teams right now. The third one is happening shortly. We've got Scott Anderson and Canine Bach. With a German Shepherd. We have Cade and Deputy Matt Meyer. Cade is a Shepherd Malinois mix. We have Annie Cedarquist, who's one of our deputies that we just brought over from Waupun Police Department. She has been awarded a canine. We'll be going to training this fall, and we want to get our 4th one up and running really as soon as we're able to get somebody else hired and get them into the training program, or if they have a dog to bring from another agency, we'll work through that as well. So looking to take applications right on our website, dodgecountysheriff.com, or the county website, and looking for somebody with some law enforcement experience. Great opportunity. If you know somebody who you think would make a great canine officer and in the current law enforcement somewhere else, by all means, let them know and help us to recruit a great person to fill that fourth spot. Our patrol division is almost full, and we're really in a good spot right now. And it's unique. We got a lot of younger people that aren't quite ready for a canine. That's why we're looking to the outside. But great opportunity for somebody to come here and join our fantastic team.
Is there an application window that people need to be aware about?
Yeah, we do have a deadline on it. It's really going to be open until it's filled. But we do have a deadline coming up in the next couple of weeks. We got some people that are starting to apply, but it will be open until we get that position filled because I've got to have I really want to have that fourth canine deputy.
Great. Again, people can head to the Dodge County Sheriff's Office website, get more information about that open position. And on the note of the K9 program, community events, fundraising is a big part of being able to support and fund that unit in and of itself. And coming up here in September, I believe September 7th is this event, the K9 Golf Outing. There's, I believe, still openings that people can still register and get involved and support that awesome cause.
Yeah, it's a great event every year. Our K9 teams work together on this and organizing it. And we've got a bunch of people who are always there, ready to come in and assist with that. And a great event. It's a lot of fun. They go out and they golf in the morning, 9 o'clock. It's a shotgun start. It's a scramble. And so if you're not all that good, you've got your other three partners that can pick you up. We usually raise about $8,000 to $10,000 at each one of these, and all of those funds go to support our teams, whether that's equipment that they need or the vehicle equipment. We're redoing some of our K9 squads, so that's paying for that equipment. So our K9 units really don't have any tax funds that go towards them outside of the deputy's normal wage. So the K9 itself, the training, the equipment that goes with it is all funded through our fundraising. They just recently did a brat fry. They're going to do more of those. But the K9 Golf Scramble's coming up in September, I believe September 7th. So if you're interested in sponsoring or just playing golf, it's a great day. And our K9 teams are usually out there. You get to meet our K9s and really wonderful. So go right to our website or to our app to get more information, to become part of that or to golf that day. It's always a good time that everybody has when they're there.
Anyone who happened to stop by Culver's, I believe this was last Tuesday, August 13th, here in Beaver Dam or out in Waupun, had some unique servers or people taking their orders that day. The Cops at Culver's event last week. Sheriff, what was that all about?
Yeah, so Deputy Luther that I just talked about really has been coordinating this for us. It's focused around the police lights of Christmas. So none of the money that was raised actually goes to law enforcement at all. We are raising money for individuals who really need it at Christmas time. And so Deputy Luther, the last couple of years, has been working with some of our other deputies. Goes up to, I believe last year they went to Lambeau and had a big kickoff event. We raise money through the years through the year, and then at Christmas time we all get gift cards that we go get to hand out to individuals who need it. A lot of times on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, we might meet some people out at the gas station, help them out with some gas, or we've had mattresses that we purchased for people in the past. So those funds that came in during that Cops at Culver's event was all raised. I believe we ended up with about $6,000 between Beaver Dam and Waupun Culver's, which was fantastic that we can give back to the community. That's what it was all about. We had deputies that were there. We had our Citizen Academy. We had our support staff. Our cadets were all out there helping do what Culver's normally does. Hand out those trays, take them out to the cars in the parking lot, or take them out to the tables, and had a lot of people that were giving some extra tips, and it was a really cool event that we had.
Fantastic. And on that note, I want to thank our guests here on Community Comment today, Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. Thank you for hanging out a little longer today than normal here on our program. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And we were able to get an answer for somebody in the community, so it was worth it.
It was very much worth it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And that will do it for today's Community Comment.